Welcome to Vetted, where we examine the world's most perplexing mysteries with a critical eye and a dedication to the facts. Tonight, we're delving into the first widely publicized alien abduction case in American history. A story that began on a lonely highway in New Hampshire and forever changed the way we think about encounters with the unknown. Every detail you'll hear tonight is grounded in actual witness accounts, news reports, and the investigations that followed. This is the story of Betty and Barney Hill. It's the night of September 19th, 1961. Betty and Barney Hill, a married couple from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, are driving home after a vacation in Canada. The hour is late. The road is empty, winding through the dark forests and mountains. The only sounds are the hum of their car and the quiet static of the radio. Betty sits in the passenger seat, gazing out at the stars. Suddenly, she notices a strange light in the sky, brighter and larger than any star she's ever seen. At first, she thinks it's a planet or a satellite, but as the minutes pass, the light appears to be moving, following them as they drive. Barney, skeptical but curious, pulls the car over. He grabs his binoculars and steps out into the cool night air. Through the lenses, he sees the light is not a star at all, but a craft, disc-shaped, with multicolored lights spinning around its edge. The object moves closer, descending silently toward them. Betty and Barney feel a sudden wave of fear and urgency. They jump back into the car and speed down the highway, but the craft keeps pace, darting overhead and swooping in front of them. As they round a curve, the craft descends so low it blocks the road ahead. Barney slams on the brakes. He sees figures inside, humanoid shapes with large, wraparound eyes, peering out from behind windows. He feels a strange compulsion to approach, but terror takes over and he rushes back to the car. The Hills hear a series of rhythmic beeping and buzzing sounds. The world seems to blur and fade. The next thing they know, they are driving down the highway again, miles farther along, with only vague memories of what happened in between. When they finally arrive home, it's dawn. They're exhausted, disoriented, and deeply unsettled. They realize something is wrong. Their trip has taken 2 hours longer than it should have. Both feel an overwhelming sense of anxiety and dread. Over the next days, strange details begin to emerge. Betty's dress is torn and stained with a pink powder. Barney's shoes are scuffed, and the leather strap on his binoculars is broken. Both notice odd, shiny circles on the trunk of their car, spots that make a compass needle spin wildly. Both Betty and Barney begin to suffer from anxiety, nightmares, and unexplained physical symptoms. Betty dreams of being taken aboard a spacecraft by strange beings, examined, and shown a map of stars. Barney is plagued by recurring nightmares of faceless figures and a sense of helplessness. Desperate for answers, the Hills contact the Air Force, who record their report as part of Project Blue Book, the government's investigation into UFOs. But the questions only multiply, and the couple's unease deepens. Months later, their search for understanding leads them to Dr. Benjamin Simon, a respected psychiatrist and hypnotist in Boston. Under separate hypnosis sessions, Betty and Barney recall chillingly similar details, memories they had been unable to access while awake. They describe being stopped by humanoid beings with grayish skin, large heads, and enormous slanted eyes. The beings communicate telepathically, reassuring the Hills they mean no harm. Betty and Barney are led up a ramp into the craft, separated, and subjected to a series of strange medical examinations. Barney recalls lying on a table, unable to move, while the beings examine his body. Metal instruments are used to check his eyes, ears, and mouth. He feels a strange, cold touch and hears a voice in his mind telling him to remain calm. Meanwhile, Betty is also examined. The beings take samples of her hair, nails, and skin. They insert a long needle into her navel, causing her pain, but she is reassured telepathically that it is only a medical test. Betty asks where they are from, and the leader shows her a three-dimensional star map dotted with points of light connected by lines. Under hypnosis, Betty later reproduces this star map from memory. She describes the beings as curious and gentle, though emotionless. When the examinations are finished, the Hills are escorted back to their car, told they will forget the encounter and warned not to be afraid. As the hypnosis sessions conclude, the Hills' memories become clearer, but the trauma remains. Their story, once private, is soon thrust into the public eye. In 1965, their account is leaked to the press, and the following year, author John G. Fuller publishes The Interrupted Journey, chronicling their experience in detail. The story captures the imagination of the nation. For the first time, Americans hear a detailed account of alien abduction, missing time, medical exams, telepathic messages, and a star map from beyond our world. The Hills become reluctant celebrities, appearing on talk shows and at UFO conferences. Skeptics and believers alike weigh in. Some scientists suggest the Hills' memories were dreams or hallucinations, shaped by stress and suggestion. Others point to the physical evidence, the consistency of their accounts, and the psychological impact as proof that something extraordinary happened. The star map becomes a focal point of debate. In the 1970s, amateur astronomer Marjorie Fish attempts to match Betty's drawing to real star systems. She proposes that the map resembles the Zeta Reticuli system, fueling speculation that the Hills' abductors were visitors from another world. The Hills' story inspires countless others to come forward with their own experiences. The concept of missing time, medical examinations, and telepathic communication becomes a template for future abduction reports. The case is dramatized in a 1975 TV movie, further embedding it in popular culture. For Betty and Barney, life is never the same. They endure public scrutiny, skepticism, and even ridicule, but they never waver in their conviction that what they experienced was real. They remain steadfast partners, supporting each other through the years of attention and controversy. Barney dies in 1969, but Betty continues to share their story, speaking at conferences and advocating for serious investigation of UFO phenomena. She becomes a symbol of courage for those who believe they too have experienced the inexplicable. To this day, the Betty and Barney Hill abduction remains one of the most thoroughly documented and debated cases in UFO history. It is a story of two ordinary people caught up in something extraordinary, a story that challenges our understanding of memory, consciousness, and the limits of human experience. Skeptics continue to search for rational explanations, while believers see the Hills as pioneers who bravely shared their truth. The legacy of their encounter endures, inspiring new generations to look to the skies and wonder what might be out there. As you reflect on the story of Betty and Barney Hill, ask yourself, what would you do if faced with the unknown? Would you trust your senses or doubt your memories? Would you share your story or keep it hidden? Thank you for joining us tonight on Vetted. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the Hills account? Was it a case of mistaken identity, a psychological phenomenon, or a genuine encounter with beings from another world? Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching, and remember, the truth is out there, waiting to be vetted.